Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the pod today. If you could, please make sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out a ton and also allows me to continue making more content just like this. So without further ado, let's get right into it. In today's episode of Average Joe Sports, it's our top 5 games of Week 3. Starting off with the Baltimore Ravens versus the Detroit Lions. And the Ravens take it by a final score of 19-17. The Ravens steal a game in miraculous fashion, a game in which they never should have won. A Justin Tucker 66-yard field goal just as time expired. Off the crossbar and in. The longest field goal in NFL history. And it was to win the game. Justin Tucker's just a machine, guys. He made it look easy, flawless. Even some style points at the end with it hitting off the crossbar, going straight up into the sky, and finally deciding to go in. And it's not like one of those field goals that if he missed it, they're going in overtime. They were down a point. It was 16-17. That kick wins them the game, and quite possibly can win them better seeding going into the playoffs. Both teams, however, were terrible on third down. The Ravens going 1 for 10, and the Lions not doing much better at 3 for 10. The biggest play of the game was late into the fourth quarter. 4th and a mile, Lamar Jackson just heaves it down the field, and a last chance desperation throw just so happens to find Sammy Watkins. It's a great catch. It's even a really good throw. Lamar Jackson, I'll give it up for you for that one. And we won't talk about the 52% completion percentage. We'll just throw that out the window because you won the game. That was about with 13 seconds left. Of course, the whole entire team goes up to where the ball was spotted, spikes it with 3 seconds left, and Justin Tucker comes in and hits the 66-yarder. The rest is literal history. And now the Ravens go to 2-1, and they're tied for the lead in their division, while the Detroit Lions fall to 0-3. And on the day that Calvin Johnson was introduced into the Lions Hall of Fame, they fall just short in typical Lions fashion. Gotta love it. Sorry, Lions fans. Going to the next game, we have the New Orleans Saints versus the New England Patriots. And the New Orleans Saints take it by a final score of 28-13. The Patriots fall to the Saints in a game where Mac Jones just never looked comfortable from the very beginning. He was under pressure all day from that great New Orleans defense, which ended up leading into 3 interceptions, one of those even being returned for a touchdown. But going in there and asking any rookie to throw the ball 51 times is just crazy, and not something that we usually see from Belichick. The Patriots also only had 49 yards rushing, and Mac Jones had 28 of those. You're not going to win many games that way. Now to the other team, the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston wasn't great today, everybody. He went just 13 for 21 for 128, but he also added 2 touchdowns. One of those, however, was a weird, just wobbly looking pass to Callaway at the back of the end zone that nobody knew how Callaway came down with that, all over a defender. Good for him, good for Jameis, Everyone needs a little bit of luck once in a while, especially when you're Jameis Winston. But I know the Patriots are going to be kicking themselves, and Mac Jones will learn from these 3 interceptions that he threw. I guarantee he doesn't throw 3 next game. He'll go back to the drawing board, see some things he'd missed, and he might tone it down a little bit. 51 throws is a lot, and they'll look to get their running game back going next week. Now we go to the Broncos versus Jets game, and the Broncos take it by a final score of 26-0. This game was a really one-sided affair. The Jets have only totaled for 6 points in their last 2 games combined. Zach Wilson is really going through it early, and with all the injuries they have piled up, that doesn't help either. The New York Jets totaled for just 162 yards of offense, and Zach Wilson threw 2 more interceptions. Corey Davis had 41 yards receiving, and that led all wideouts for the Jets. You're not going to win like that. The lack of different weapons is really hurting this team, and Zach Wilson is running for his life a lot of the time. Sloppy play by the Jets. Comment down below when you see their first win coming, because I really don't know. It's bad in New York. And not just them, the Giants are giving them a run for their money too. The Broncos had, what can I say, a very Teddy Bridgewater type game. He went 19 for 25, 235 yards passing, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. Chiefs fans back in the day, sounds a lot like those Alex Smith numbers, huh? I know, I've seen a lot of those games with that same stat line. The Broncos had over 35 minutes of possession and 200 more yards of offense. The Denver Broncos coast to another victory, improving their record to an impressive 3-0, and are now tied for co-leader in the AFC West. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Bucks versus the Los Angeles Rams. And the Los Angeles Rams take this one by a final score of 34-24. Matt Stafford was terrific in this game, guys, going 27 for 38, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. That included hitting Deshaun Jackson on an absolute bomb for 75 yards. Just took the absolute top off the defense. And after that, he just consistently continued to hook up with Cooper Kupp up and down the field repeatedly. Kupp ended up with almost 100 yards. Sony Michel also ran for 62 yards. Brady threw for 432 yards and a touchdown, also running one in on a little quarterback sneak. Most of those yards, however, were in garbage time. Gronk had a slight rib injury, but ended up returning to the game later on. But Bucs fans, whenever Tom Brady is your leading rusher for the game, it's going to be a tough one to win. You don't see that very often. Even at a nice little 4.7 average. Brady, keep it up. But neither Ronald Jones nor Leonard Fournette could get anything going against that Rams defensive line. And the Los Angeles Rams now look like the team to beat in the NFC. And now lastly, we have the Sunday Night Football game. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers take it by a final score of 30-28. Sunday Night Football gave us a good one, guys. Both teams competing hard for possible playoff seedings later on in the season. The San Francisco 49ers scored a touchdown late to take the lead, 28-27. However, they left 30 seconds and change and a timeout to Aaron Rodgers, the current reigning NFL MVP. And what happens? He takes him down the field, and old man Crosby hits a 51-yard game-winning field goal. Pure ecstasy. Quick shout out to all the kickers though today. A lot of good jobs, except for the kicker for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Cliff Kingsbury tried to go for a 68, 69-yard field goal at the end of half. Ended up missing just short. Agnew for the Jaguars returns it 109 yards to the house. It was officially the longest ever recorded play in the NFL. A missed 68, 69-yard field goal turns into a 109-yard kick return for a touchdown. The injured 49ers backfield showed its ugly face today, with Trey Sermon having just 31 yards on 10 attempts. Trey Lance came in the game for a play, got 1 yard on 1 rush attempt, but that 1 yard happened to be a very important yard, with it being the last one until a touchdown. How about that stat line? 1 rush for 1 yard and 1 touchdown. Trey Lance, MVP. I wonder how Jimmy G felt about that one, because I know, was it week 1? I know he was feeling some type of way about that little 5-yard pass that he threw. So, will he mind whenever Trey Lance runs it in from the 1? Only time will tell. Devontae Adams had 11 receptions for 132 yards and was targeted 18 times. That's a crazy amount. But whenever you're a true number 1, you can take those numbers, you can produce big results, which is what he did. And whenever it came down to those big pressure moments, Rodgers delivered. Alright everybody, that was this episode of Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast. If you could, please remember to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with another episode soon. Thank you guys.